Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast, Extended Fast Edition. And I will talk about the extended fast at the end of this podcast, but first it's not really keto in the news, but it's sort of tangentially, if that's a word, I think it is, it's related to keto in that it is intermittent fasting. And I know a lot of people that do keto, myself included, do some form of intermittent fasting. A story that has showed up in my news feed a couple of times in the past week is about actor Jesse Plemons. He was in Breaking Bad and Fargo Season 2. Those are the two things that come to the top of my mind. And I used to refer to him as Fat Matt Damon. Not to his face, obviously, and pretty much not out loud, but in my mind, that's what I thought of him. Anyhow, he is not Fat Matt Damon anymore because he lost 50 pounds. He said that he's been accused of using Ozempic, but it is actually due to intermittent fasting. I looked through a number of different articles to see if it would talk about what his specific fasting regimen was, whether it was 16/8 or, yeah, that adds up to 24, or 20/4 or 1 meal a day or alternate day eating. It also didn't discuss what he was eating. I suspect, and this is purely an assumption, but I suspect he was probably doing some form of low carb or keto, just because in my experience, if you are eating higher carb, you tend to be hungry more often. And that makes doing any sort of a fast, including intermittent fasting, more difficult. The fewer carbs you have, the less hunger you have, and it makes fasting easier. So anyway, I think it's fantastic that he did this. It's great. It's good to get the news out about intermittent fasting. If he was in fact doing keto, I wish he would have said so. I think that would have been a nice popularity boost for keto. In other somewhat keto-related news, because it's related to coffee, and a lot of people on keto do coffee, like fatty coffee, I saw this article show up right over here as I look at it on my phone. Killer caffeine! Put your coffee down. Massive recall issued due to deadly toxin. Okay, scary, isn't it? Then, when I clicked on this rather clickbaity title, this is the actual article. Canned coffee recalled over deadly toxin fears. Recalled Snap Chill products were distributed nationwide. All right, I don't drink coffee that comes in a can. I've never heard of Snap Chill. But they could have avoided me even clicking on this had they just been a little bit more upfront and honest with that title. Internet. But then I guess they wouldn't have gotten any ad revenue, so there's that. And speaking of ad revenue, I will often get questions or comments about the ads that show up before or during my videos. One viewer recently said there was a 9-minute video for dog food before one of my videos. Now, I hope it was skippable. The thing is, recently YouTube made some changes, and I talked about this, I think, in a previous podcast, to their ad policy. It used to be that content creators like me had a lot more control over the ads. So I could choose whether or not I would have skippable ads or non-skippable ads, or whether there'd be little banners down at the bottom of the screen that you could click on. They took all of that away. Now you just say, do you want ads? Do you not want ads? And if you do want ads and your video is longer than 8 minutes, you're able to put in mid-roll breaks for ads. And I will put in mid-rolls if I've got a video over, say, 12 minutes. The threshold for YouTube is 8 minutes. But to me, putting a commercial after just 4 minutes, that seems a little bit excessive. Now, what's interesting is you can manually place the ads, which I choose to do, in logical breakpoints, or you can let YouTube place the ads. So on a podcast, unless it's a really long podcast, I'll typically just place one ad in the middle. If I let YouTube do it, there will be at least 4 ads over the course of an 18 to 20 minute podcast. So that's why I don't do that. And hopefully you all appreciate that. But let me finish by saying, if you ever see an ad that is not skippable and it's excessively long, which to me means probably more than about a minute, just hit the back button on your browser, go back out, come back in. Don't feel obligated to sit through a long ad just for one of my videos. I wouldn't do it. Or I guess the other option is you could pay for YouTube Premium, which is what I do. I'm not trying to pimp for YouTube Premium, but I think it's well worth it. Just for like YouTube Music, That's awesome. As well as the ability to download videos onto your mobile device or PC. Maybe not PC, but I think definitely on your mobile device. So if you want to watch them offline, you can. It's a pretty good deal. I like it. That's all I have to say about that. Next up, this is not a promo for Keto Chow. This is more of a promo for Steve, because now back in stock at Keto Chow are the cream of mushroom soup and the baked potato. I get questions daily from people asking me, when are these going to be back in stock? And Chris Bear at Keto Chow does not tend to share information with me. Apparently, I can't keep a secret. The next topic I want to cover is negativity. And I'm going to try and do this in a positive way, but it's about negativity, I think, just in general, and sort of jumping to conclusions, jumping to judgment. But it's obviously been triggered by comments that I get. And that is, when you get comments like, oh, that's insane, that's stupid, no one should do that, that's bad for you, you're going to kill yourself, things like that, whether it's an ingredient, whether it's something like an extended fast. So the reason I went over to Lean Body Mind to talk about my extended fast is because I knew I would get a lot of comments from the peanut gallery here about, oh, you should never fast that long, that's bad for you, and all of that stuff. And I find comments like that not only rather close-minded, but also sort of hypocritical, given that we are part of a community, a keto or carnivore or ketovore community that is on the receiving end of a lot of comments like that. You tell someone you do keto and they're going to tell you, oh, that's so bad for you, that's going to kill you. You tell someone you're doing carnivore, oh boy, that's insane. I can't believe you do that. Your heart's going to explode, your kidneys are going to fail, all of this stuff. So we are on the receiving end of comments like that, largely. So we are on the receiving end of comments like that. We should know better than to make comments like that towards other people. And just so that I don't come off as being hypocritical, I can say, yeah, I used to be that same way. I used to jump to conclusions or judgments about things. Had somebody told me 5 years ago they were going to do a 150-hour or 150-plus hour fast, I would have said, that's just crazy. Why are you doing that? That seems like you're going to kill yourself or something. It's insane. But now I know better. I even recently caught myself thinking that way as I did an interview over on Lean Body Mind of marathoner Michael Ebon. And he talked about being fat adapted and fasting and such like. And he explained that he's training right now to do a 5x5, which is 5 marathons in 5 days, and he plans to do it fasted. Now, if any of you right now in your brain are saying, that sounds crazy, that's what went on in my brain too. But I didn't say it. There was a gatekeeper there. And instead I said, wow, that is going to be a test. I'll be very, very curious to see how it goes for you and what your results are. And I am very curious. I mean, the human body can do an awful lot of stuff that we don't give it enough credit for. So we'll see what happens. So I guess in conclusion, I would say, when you feel yourself getting ready to say something like that, getting ready to type something like that, pump the brakes. Say, you know what? In my brain, I'm thinking, that seems a little bit crazy, but I don't have all the information in the world. So I'll take a wait and see, wait and observe sort of approach. And I'll also try and think about the times when people have told me that what I'm doing for a dietary lifestyle in terms of keto or carnivore or some variation of low carb is insane and going to kill me. And like I said, pump the brakes. And that brings me to the final topic that I teased at the very beginning of this podcast, which is my extended fast. I am recording this video on Sunday, and right now I am probably 136 hours, right around there, into my fast. I'm going to run this fast until Tuesday morning, which will put me in the 156 to 160 range, depending on when I break the fast. And it's been a overall good experience. I do feel like I'm a little bit weaker and a little bit hungrier than I am than in my last extended fast, but my mood has been fantastic. I've been super duper productive. I'll talk about that in a second. If you want to know more about the extended fast, if you want to see my daily or every other day updates, and then eventually my conclusion and what would you call that? Summary? Yeah, I'd call it a summary of the fast, probably immediately after the fast, and then a week later where I'm at. What kind of weight did I put on? What was my body composition changes, etc., lessons learned, all of that. Check it out on Lean Body Mind. One of the things that I found for me when I'm doing an extended fast is I need to be by myself. And that means the only time I do extended fasts are when my wife is away. She's gone on a trip, and she's been away for this past week. And it's because I am not only the primary cook, I mean, really, really primary cook. And it's hard to cook when you're fasting. It's hard to smell it. You want to taste, oh, do I need more seasoning? But it's also very difficult for me because my wife is a constant eater. It's, I guess, her metabolism. She's always eating, always snacking. There's always an open bag of chips or something around. And it's too difficult for me when I'm doing an extended fast. So I wait until she's gone and I get a ton of stuff done because A, I'm not cooking, so that frees up a good chunk of time per day, and B, I'm not eating, which also frees up a chunk of time. So I came into this week with a pretty massive to-do list. Some of it is just things I wanted to do. Other things were really sort of a preemptive honey-do list type of a deal. And I've gotten, like I said, a lot done. After this video, I'm going to do probably the most difficult task, the one I'm most concerned about, which is replacing the kitchen faucet. Our faucet, you may have seen it in some of my cooking videos, it looks nice, but the handle on it for the temperature control seems to kind of fall into one of two places, and there's very little middle ground. It's either scaldingly hot or very cold. And yeah, that's not awesome, especially when you're washing dishes. The other problem is a while back, probably a month or two, there's been a periodic drip from it. And if you get the handle just right, and it only takes about 10 minutes of messing with the handle to get it just right, then it will stop dripping. But I've hit the point where I'm tired of it. I got a new one. It's got a motion sensor on it, so you can wave your hand and then the water starts, which is good if you've been handling something like chicken or something like that, and you don't want to touch any handles or anything. So I'm excited to have that done. I'm not looking forward to doing it. Plumbing is just not one of my favorite tasks, especially underneath a sink where you're in a cabinet and you're working in tight spaces and things like that. A lot of the other stuff that I did, you can't see them over here, but I've got a couple of windows in my basement. They're not egress windows. They're just the ones that go to a window well. Those are extraordinarily difficult to clean. It probably took me about a half hour for each of the 3 windows, maybe longer. And I kind of think of the metaphor of it's like wetting your pants when you're wearing black corduroys. It gives you a warm feeling, but no one else is likely to notice. Feel free to use that one if you ever want to. You don't need to give me credit. Anyhow, I'm hoping that when Terry gets home, she sees some of these things, she's pleased. I think she'll just be pleased to come home to a house that's not messy and all the laundry has been done. But like I said, if you want to hear more about my fast, come on over to Lean Body Mind, watch those videos. I think that's going to be it though for this podcast. You know what I say at the end, as always. Thanks for giving me a little bit of your time this day, and thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.